All right, welcome back. Unfortunately, my last recording didn't have any sound, and I don't have another copy of this worksheet, so I'm gonna have to do it all on my notebook here. So hopefully you can follow along, okay? But I'm doing this equations of circles task cards on the back of what we started yesterday to start, and then I'll go to homework number 9. All right, so we've got letter C. I'm just going to go through all of them just because there were so many questions. Today I'm using an erasable pen by Parku. It removes by friction. Just pretty cool. It's a nice blue color. Looks really nice with my skin tone. You can see a swatch of it there. So hopefully you enjoy this pen today. Letter C says write the equation of a circle with a radius of 1. So r equals 1, and the center is at -7, 4. So I know all the things I need to plug it into my equation. So it's x, change the sign, plus 7 quantity squared, plus y, change the sign, minus 4 squared, equals 1 squared, which is just 1. So that's for letter C. For letter D, I'm just going right across. It says list the radius and the center of the circle that has the equation x plus 1 squared plus y minus 5 squared equals 36. So to do that, I change the sign of the 1, so -1, change the sign to -5, 5. That gives me my center. And then to find the radius, I take the square root of whatever number is left on the right-hand side of the equation, and we know the square root of 36 is a positive 6, because the radius can't be negative. For letter F, same kind of thing. You're given the equation x minus 8 quantity squared plus y plus 3 squared equals 30. And then we're going to find the center, change the sign, so it becomes 8, positive 8, -3, and the radius is going to be square root of 30, which if we use our calculator, we can find that that's about 5.48. Or you could leave it as the square root of 30. Either is fine. For letter I, you have a circle, and I'll just bring this over for a second here. You have a circle, so what you would do is find the coordinates of the center, which is -2, 2, 2, -2, and then for the radius, just count straight up or straight to the right. So that's 1, 2, 3. So the radius is 3. So again, the center was 2, -2. The radius was 3. And then you plug that into your equation. X minus 2 quantity squared plus y plus 2 quantity squared equals 3 squared, which is 9. Final answer. For letter J, it says determine if the point is on the circle. For it to be on the circle, it needs to have an equal sign. And we're determining if the point 2, 3 is on x minus 2 squared plus y plus 1 squared equals 16. So I'm going to plug the 2 in for x, the 3 in for y. So it's 2 minus 2 squared. And then 3 plus 1 squared equals 16. That's 0. This is 16. So it does equal. So your answer would be yes. Moving on to letter K, same kind of question. Determine if it's on the circle. Remember, on, it has to be equal. And then you have the point 0, 5, and the equation x plus 1 squared plus y minus 4 squared equals 1. And this is our x, this is our y. So you've got 0 plus 1 squared, and then 5 minus 4 squared. Does that equal 1? So this is 1 squared. This is 1 squared. 1 plus 1 is 2, which is not equal 1. So no, this is not on the circle. Before I get to L and M, make sure you check up in the upper right-hand corner of the video for the little I. That means that there's a question for you. All right, for letter L, it says write the equation of a circle given the center of 0, 0, and a point on the circle of 5, 2. So this describes the radius, so I'm going to use the distance formula to find the length of that point. You could also use Pythagorean theorem, but since this isn't graphed, it's probably going to be easier to use the distance formula. We learned the distance formula in Unit 1, but I'll just do a quick recap. I'm going to set it up like this, 0, 0, 5, 2. The first thing that you do in the equation is you subtract. So 0 minus 5 is a negative 5. 0 minus 2 is a negative 2. And then you place that in the square root. So negative 5 squared plus 2 squared. 25 plus 4, which is the square root of 29. And that's our radius. We know the center is 0, 0, so it'd be x minus 0 squared plus y minus 0 squared. And then the square root of 29 squared is just 29. And then I just want to explain, like the x minus 0, you could rewrite that as just x squared plus y squared equals 29. So that would probably be the best way to write it. For letter M, same kind of thing. You're given the center of 1, 3 and a point on the circle of negative 2, 7. So you're going to find the distance using distance formula or Pythagorean theorem. Subtracting, so 1 minus a negative 2 is a positive 3. 3 minus 7 is a negative 4. So it's the square root of 3 squared plus negative 4 squared, which equals the square root of 25. So your radius is 5. And then we would write our equation using the center. So x minus 1 squared plus y minus 3 squared equals 5 squared, which is 25. All right, that's all for the equation of circle task cards. I'm going to go on to homework number 9. Again, there's going to be a little fun question in the upper right-hand corner, so check that out. If we're going to homework number 9. All right, for number 1 of homework number 9, they give you the center of a negative 11, 3 and the radius of 3. So you just plug it all in. Should be fairly straightforward. So x plus 11 squared, y minus 3 squared equals the radius squared, which is 9. Number 2, they give you the center of negative 6, 12, the radius of 1. So you're going to plug that in as well. X plus 6 squared, y minus 12 squared equals 1. Then going over to number 3, the ends of the diameter. This is going to be just a little bit different. So the diameter is negative 1610 and negative 16.6. So I'm going to use the distance formula to find the length of the diameter. So subtract, that gives us 0 and negative 6. And then we use the distance formula, so 0 squared plus negative 6 squared. So the diameter has a length of 6, which would mean the radius, this is the diameter, so that means the radius is 3. Then we plug that in. Oh, Sorry, I ran out of room, so I'm going to need to go to the backside. So we actually have to find the midpoint because we don't know the center yet. So we're going to find the midpoint between those points. So we have the radius is 3. We're going to find the midpoint between negative 16, 10, and negative 16, 16. So I like to set up my midpoint chart like I did yesterday. Find the halfway point. In this case, it's just, this is where my erasable pen comes in handy. Midpoint between negative 16 and negative 16, it just stays at negative 16. And then the midpoint between 10 and 16, so that moves 6. So I'm going to go over 3. So my center is negative 16, 13. My radius was 3. So I'm going to plug that in. X plus 16, quantity squared, x equals y minus 13. Quantity squared equals 9. Final answer. And I'll do number 4 as well, which is just like number 3. So just like number 3, they give us the endpoints of the diameter of negative 6, negative 9, negative 14, negative 5. So I'm going to find the length of the diameter first by subtracting. So that's 8. That's 6. So I do square root of 8 squared plus 6 squared. So the diameter is 10. The diameter is 10. Then I need to find the radius. The radius would be 5. Then in order to find the center, I need to do the midpoint between those two endpoints. This time I'm not going to use my chart. I'm going to use my midpoint formula. So in midpoint formula, you add the x coordinates, divide by 2, add the y coordinates, divide by 2. Midpoint formula. And I get negative 10 and negative 12. So now that I have my center and my radius, plug it into my equation. X plus 10 squared plus y plus 11 or 12 squared equals 25. I did go quite quickly, so if you need some help or and you have any questions, feel free to email me or post on Google Classroom. As always, my energy is brought to you by Diet Coke or some sort of caffeine pop, usually diet. Thank you for watching. You'll see